Best Podcast Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Stay tuned after the show for a legal tip from Meg Paukin of the Gertzberg Law Firm, who will talk about helping your aging parents plan for the next phase of their life.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
Hey, we've got a powerful tool to connect with people around the world. You live in a city, you live in a village. You speak this language or that language. You're rich, you're poor. You can play on the beach, we can play in the sand, we can play in a stadium. Doesn't matter. The ball is a tool that speaks to the world and helps us build relationship. And as we have relationship, then you go, okay, what are the needs? And how do we meet those needs?
Hi, Molly Gebler.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Oh, you know.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Did you
Yes.
have a happy Monday?
You know what? I had taken off all last week.
Yeah.
And so when you get back from something like that, you know, this is all catch up today.
Where did you go?
We did a staycation.
Okay.
And we had a spa day. We did that salt cave in Menor, the Himalaya salt cave. Not a fan.
I didn't even know they had a Himalayan salt.
Something
cave
about
in
the
Mentor.
salt, and it's supposed to be, I don't even know the benefits, a whole list of benefits.
Is it a cave?
It's a cave. Well, it's a cave inside of a storefront.
All right.
So it's a man-made cave. And it's, you walk in, you put these booties on, they give you a blanket and headphones, which in my mind says bed bugs and lice. And
Check.
yeah,
Check.
so I was a little leery about that. And then you walk in and you have to put these booties on like you do when you go into a house, like when you're looking at a house, because the ground is all salt. And then you sit in these chairs. I wonder if they have video, because I had a full-blown panic attack, which I've never had in my life, ever. And I
wonder what that looks like. What does that look
it
like?
was not pretty. It was not. It probably wasn't full blown.
Is there cursing?
Full blown. No. So you sit back in these beach chairs, basically the chairs that have the legs with the little bar so you control the back and forth with your feet. I don't know if you've ever been in they recline back, but you take your feet and you move them back and forth.
Okay.
And so I was all the way back. And just in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get up? I felt like someone was sitting on my chest.
What?
So I kept, and of course, Sam is she's really into it. Emily's bored silly, so she's throwing salt at Sam. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to get up. Help me up. I got to get up. Can I get up? And I just started freaking out. And then I got up eventually. But I was nervous I wasn't going to be able to get up. You know, I don't work my core that much. So so it was all panicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get up. I got to get up. I got to get out of here. What are
you supposed to do in these chairs?
It's 45 minutes of relaxing, which I'm just not a fan of. I don't relax.
Relaxing and
You're
having
supposed to breathe in the salt from the Himalayas, and it's supposed to reduce. Meanwhile, I had a flaring migraine, and that it wasn't taking care of that. It's supposed to. There's a whole list of things that it's supposed to take care of.
And you're in this thing, and there's like salt particles in the air that you're inhaling. Is that the deal?
You know those salt lamps that are out there now? Okay, so the salt lamp is the new thing. If you go to any store, you're going to see a salt lamp, and it lights up. And that's supposed to be good in your room. So the whole thing looks like that. Like all the walls are salt. Fake, I'm sure. And I don't know what the benefits are. It's just a whole list of benefits. It's supposed to be a spa type
Sounds
of.
woo-woo.
It was so beyond, so beyond. So then
That sounds like a fun spring break.
yeah, we spent a shout out to Hotel Indigo. We spent 2 fantastic nights at Hotel Indigo, and I
Yeah.
just have to tell you, they just rolled out the red carpet, champagne, and just good people over at the Hotel Indigo. Good people. We had a great suite, 2-bedroom suite, and
Yeah.
you know, with the construction in the house, we're limited with our sleeping. You know, because someone's always there,
Yeah.
and it was my week to sleep in a little bit, and I couldn't, and so that was heaven.
I like that Hotel Indigo. I was there. I met a client there for drinks one time, and it looks like trendy and
So cool.
like it's almost like stepping into like a half sci-fi, half like Mad Men kind of a.
But community, because if you look at the pictures and the names
Yeah.
of the rooms and stuff, it's all community based. Hot
Yeah.
air balloons and horses for the the equestrian.
Is that part of a chain?
It is. It
Is
is.
it the
But each one, it's a boutique chain.
Okay.
So each one kind of merges to the community, and they really have. They're very involved in the chamber. But they also own Home 2 Suites, which is right next door. This is all in Beechwood, folks, by Hyde Park. But there's an indoor pool at Home 2 Suites, FYI, if you ever just want to take the kids during the winter. And so that was it. We went to Red for dinner, which was lovely.
What
Sat
a
by a
night.
huge, just obnoxious family. Just, oh my gosh. This doesn't have enough alcohol in it. Can you take these drinks back, please? And just,
You just broke our equipment.
I know, so annoying. We went to a Cavs game. We did a lot. We shoved
sounds
a lot.
awesome.
And then kind of we redid a bedroom. We did lots.
It's a busy week you had there,
What
Molly
did you
Gebler.
do? You kind of did a staycase /
Well, this will be a good segue into our guest because the bookends of this last week involved young Jacob and I road tripping down to Columbus each of 2 weekends to see a professional soccer game,
Oh,
and it was awesome.
Who would that be?
Columbus Crew,
Oh, okay, yeah.
man, we had so much fun. I want to talk to Erin about it. It was so much fun. Soccer was my sport back in the day, Molly.
Yeah,
I don't know
was
if you
your
knew
jam?
that.
I did not.
That was my
know
jam.
that.
Yeah, I was not very good, but I really had fun. I enjoyed
I
it.
was gonna say, were you like? And
No, I played-
Oh, Beckham, right?
Right.
That's a soccer player.
Sure.
Okay.
For
That's
just
about
throwing
it.
out random soccer players' names. Why
Isn't
not?
it?
Yeah.
Wait, isn't he a soccer
David
player?
Beckham.
David
yeah.
Beckham.
He married. He
He's
married a
so
Spice
hot.
Girl.
Let's just talk about that. David Beckham and Kevin Love in one room. I'm not quite sure what I do with
You know
myself.
what? You actually, if that's what you're going for, then you would love professional soccer. I'm the furthest thing from gay, Molly, but I will tell you, there's a lot of really attractive
Yeah.
professional soccer players and
all
well
right.
built, well put together. You know.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Anyway,
I'm a supporter of that.
you would totally dig it.
Okay.
So we drove down to
that's
Columbus
fun.
each of the last 2 weekends, Jake and I, and we road tripped together, which we've never done in recent memory, and that was
Which is great right there in itself.
good bonding. Yeah. In between those 2 times, we hung around the hood and walked dogs and played mud soccer. So then on Thursday, we went with some friends of ours to Splash Lagoon at Erie, PA. Have you ever been there?
I have not. I try to stay away from
I'll tell you something about Splash Lagoon, Molly.
infested bugs.
Lots and lots of flesh.
Germ. Yeah.
Lots of, I mean, it is
Flesh
just.
that you don't want to see,
Nope.
probably.
Sure don't. Sure don't. It is. I mean, look, I'm not in the best shape in the world, but I would say
No
that
judging.
I
No
would say
judging.
that
But I would not go in a bikini to a water park, and some ladies do, and God bless them, I guess. God bless
I mean,
them.
yeah, no, it's true, and I'm not one to indict anyone's health habits, but I will say that you should be prepared to see a lot of flesh walking around, and it's in very close quarters right? And a little kid pooped in a pool, and they had to clear it out.
Oh, see, now,
Yep.
come on.
Yep, that happened.
Come on. I just, no.
Yeah, no, that's the one we know
That's
about.
the good thing.
That's the one we know about. It probably happened a lot more.
Oh, no.
The kids obviously had a great time.
And does Maya, is she old enough to?
Yeah. There's a section for all ages.
Okay.
Yeah, so she hung out in the poop in the pool section.
Oh, my God.
The little kiddie water slides.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's just, so we did that, and then went back to Columbus. I was going to ask you something.
Yeah, you forgot to give me your address so I could go into your sauna.
That's true. I'll give it
That
to
was
you
on my
right
list
after
of things
this.
to do on my staycation.
I would have given it to you.
I know.
Me sauna as Susana.
It's got to be
I remember what I wanted
it's
to
got to be when you're away, because then the next podcast is going to be you saying that there was so much flesh that you didn't want to see in your own house.
I'd be like, Molly, why are there lots of beer cans in my sauna? What did you and John do in there?
Oh no, it's not even that. I did just purchase a neck. I don't like people touching me. I don't like to be massaged.
You don't get massages?
But I am so just collecting it all right in the back of my neck and in my shoulders.
The stress, tension.
And I just I feel like I just need a good crack. I need a good. I feel myself just saying in my head, I got to just let my shoulders down. I'm so.
Yeah.
So I did get one of those things that you put around. It actually has pockets so that you can hold it into
sure.
place.
I've seen those.
So that's coming tomorrow. So I'm super pumped about that.
Is it filled with rice?
No, it's an electric massager.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Molly, I want to recommend to you once again, and I know I have a million times, but what's great for that thing that you just described,
Yes.
where you're constantly tense in
Yes.
certain areas, there's this meditation technique called a body scan. Listen to me. Here,
I'm
just
listening.
I'm going to tell it to you, and then I'm going to shut up about it. But
Okay.
I never fully realized how much of my body is in a constant state of tension.
Yes.
But what you do is, while you're meditating, you scan from the roof of your what's this thing called? Your scalp.
Yeah.
And you scan down, and you one body part at a time intentionally relax that body part.
But then I feel like I do
Yeah.
that in general, just reminding myself, hey, you just I gotta.
Right.
But then 3 minutes later, I'm reminding myself again.
Got to do it again.
Yeah,
Gotta
I
do
don't
the-
have time to be reminding myself that all day.
Well,
I just don't.
so you're gonna wear this thing around your neck, and it's just gonna automatically massage you.
Yeah.
You should just get,
because I think another person would go to masseuse and get a massage.
or you know what, a chiropractor might help you too.
I love all my chiropractors that are my members, but I just
If you really don't like people touching you.
right, yeah.
Hey,
my manicure was about as much as I could do.
okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch The Push on Netflix yet?
No.
You have to watch it.
Okay.
Watch it tonight.
All right.
I watched it last night. My jaw was on the floor.
What is that about?
So,
But don't tell me
no.
everything.
I'm going to tell
it.
you what you will learn in just the first minute of this
Okay.
hour and a half
Is it
show.
a documentary? What is it?
70 actors
Okay.
are brought together to create this highly elaborate con where they trick one guy who doesn't know. Only one guy is not in on it. Everyone else is in on it. And they try to see how far they can get him to comply with suggestions.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Real?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last thing that they try to get him to do is commit a murder. That's all. And you learn all that in the first minute. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my.
Dude, I was watching it last night, because I listened to another podcast where they said that exact same thing. I was like, I got to watch it. It is all that. It's crazy.
The Push.
The
okay.
Push, yeah.
So, and I have
Crazy.
one for you.
What?
It's called The Final Secrets of 9/11.
Ooh.
It's on Netflix. It's not the
I'm not
whole
into conspiracy stuff.
It's not the conspiracy theory. I don't know why they named it that, but it is the DNA testing of all the body parts of 9/11 and
of the
how,
attackers?
No, of all the parts that they found.
Why would I want to watch that?
because it's so intriguing on how like one little body fragment and how they can tell who that was and how they got that remain
So it's
back to their family.
Right. It's
for
about identifying
closure.
the remains.
Yeah, and how they
Yeah.
I mean, they had like, I think it was 19,000 pieces,
Yeah.
if not more than that. But it was, and then they had given up, like, they went into they reopened it 3 different times because of just more science that they
Sure.
learned about. And then they were going to close down the Deutsche Bank,
Yeah.
which is a couple buildings away from the Twin Towers, and right before they were going to demolish it, which was 5 years after 9/11. It never reopened. It sustained so much damage during
Right.
9/11. They did a sweep of the building just to make sure there was nobody in there and stuff.
Yeah.
And they went to the ceiling or the roof, and there were hundreds of body parts on the roof. But no one had really been in the building since 9/11 because it was deemed unsafe. And so they collected all those, and it was all from the plane victims, which is also super crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Final Secrets of
The Final
9/11?
Secrets of
Is
9/11.
that on Netflix?
Yeah, and it was 50 minutes maybe, and it really wasn't. But just the determination of
Yeah.
this team that, we're not going to stop until we find. They
Right.
didn't find everybody, but yeah.
Hey,
just
Erin, come on in.
amazing.
Thanks, Jill.
Hi, Erin.
How we doing?
What's up, buddy?
How's it
Good to see you.
Good to
going?
see
Molly
you.
Gebler.
Molly Gebler.
Nice to meet
Erin
you.
Deloach.
Nice
Great
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you.
Have a seat. Sit on right here.
Yeah,
were
we
just-
didn't even do our introduction. It's T-shirt day. Nobody told me it was
This is what the
T-shirt
cool-
day.
You
Just got to get on board.
Oh
cool
my
kids
gosh,
are.
I didn't get that tweet or that
didn't?
Insta. No.
Wait, before we
Yes.
go to
So
Erin.
let's pretend Erin's not here.
Yeah. One other one on
Yes.
Netflix, right?
All
You got
right.
Netflix, right, Erin?
I do. Yeah.
Did you watch The Push yet?
I have not seen the.
And
Push.
you need to see the secrets of 9/11.
Final
Final
Secrets
secrets, and it's
9/11.
not a conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
It's
There's
not.
no way that it's not.
It's no.
No,
It's about all the
apparently.
DNA and
about-
and how they found out whose body parts were whose to get it back to their family. It was actually it was unbelievable,
Wow.
unbelievable. I don't know why they called it that. And
So the push. I need
The
to
push.
see the push.
You,
and the
yeah.
secrets of 9/11 or
Yeah.
the final secret,
Yeah.
something like
But
that.
there's one more. There's one
All
more
right,
that I
what is
saw
it?
about a week ago, and it's called The White Helmets. You ever hear about that? You would love it, Erin. This is right up your alley. This is kind of like not exactly what you do, right?
Yeah.
Traveling the world and giving back, but it is a lot about giving back. The White Helmets. So you know what's happening in Syria, right?
Yeah,
Syria is
refugee
in
crisis. It's crazy.
civil war.
Yeah.
The White Helmets are a group of like neutrals that don't belong to either faction. And anytime they hear jets flying overhead, they know there's a bombing run coming, right? And these are like Soviet jets, Russian jets. So when those things come, they destroy an entire city block, right? They go to the bombing site just for the purpose of pulling out live people from the rubble. Man, it is so moving. Like you cannot
Sounds-
watch it.
I don't know if I can.
No,
do
it's
that.
it's really intense, and I mean, just it's. I think it won an Oscar. There are themes of bravery and themes of faith and themes of, like just neutrality and
I mean,
war
like the
and
first responders almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, normally when it's that scenario, people are fleeing in the
Yeah.
other direction,
Right.
right? You see that, you turn and you run
Right.
the other way, but to run towards
Yeah.
the mess,
right. It's crazy.
takes some bravery.
Yeah. Are you going to get tea, Molly?
Yeah.
I think Jill's bringing it.
Okay.
But that's a great documentary. It's really, really good. And then you learn about the dudes that are doing it, the guys wearing the white helmets, and how sometimes they have to like rescue their family members, and that gets really, really crazy. Anyway, speaking of doing good,
Yes.
thanks, Jill.
Not us.
No, we commentate on doing good.
Yes.
We bring guests who do good
Yes.
onto our man, I can't get this thing. Oh, jeez.
So much going on
All
over
right.
there, Alex Gertzberg, with your microphone.
Our guest, ladies and gentlemen, Erin Deloach. Deloach or Deloach?
Deloach, you got it.
Deloach.
Deloach.
Hard ch.
It's French. Capital
French?
L in the
Sure,
middle.
it's Deloach.
Yeah.
Means of the Loach.
Of the Loach, yes.
Is Loach a like a river or a town?
I don't know what it is, but the most interesting thing about my name is that this past fall, my brother took a DNA test. Turns out I'm actually 0.5% Japanese. So I don't know how that didn't make it into my name, but I'm riding this thing for all it's worth.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
I love
maybe
Asian food. You know, I'm only
kids?
5'6", so I'm like, oh, it's all making sense for me. You know, It's like-
Kids? Do you have kids?
I do. Yeah.
So make sure that you're putting that on the application.
Does
That's
that get
right.
you? Does that get you something?
I don't know.
0.5%.
So my grandma was 2% Japanese. I had no idea my whole life growing up until just a couple months
And
ago.
she knew that. And
She did the DNA test and figured it all out, and so
what DNA test is that by?
23andMe probably.
Is
Yeah,
it?
there's a
Okay.
lot of them out there now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, so I do have 3 kids. I've got a 10-year-old.
Okay.
Well, he's almost 10, right? So he's in 3rd grade. I've got a 7-year-old. He's in 1st grade, and then a 4-year-old little girl.
Oh my goodness, you're
So-
busy.
But we're done. That's it.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
Nailed it. 3 and done. We're out.
You got the boy.
yeah.
You got the boy
I got
or
the
the
girl.
girl. You got
Yeah,
the
yeah,
girl.
2
You're
boys
done.
and a little girl. We did it. Mom's happy. I'm happy. We're good. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So Erin is really good buds with Gene McKesh.
Oh, my dad's
Another-
at the Lantern. That's where that's his
Oh,
that's his
yeah.
home.
yeah, Gene's been with us several places around the world. We were in
Oh,
India
wow.
together, and then just yesterday he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I hear there's something brewing in Bolivia. I'm in for Bolivia." And I said, "All right, it's barely brewing right now, but when it happens, I'll
All
let
right,
you
And what
know."
is? Yeah,
let's
we
back
need
up.
to-
Hold on
yeah,
a
we
second.
need to
Let's
dive
back
right into that.
Let's back this train up. So Erin is a former soccer player,
Yeah.
professional, semi-pro club.
Yeah.
It's all of those things, right?
Yeah, so I grew up playing soccer. I got to play 4 years in college. I played at Florida Southern, and then I ended up with a team called the Charlotte Eagles, who's now in kind of a lower division, but they were in the United Soccer League, which is the longest-standing professional soccer league in the U.S.
Oh, is that right?
They're in the 2nd division. So Europe, this makes sense. In America, it doesn't quite make sense. It would be the equivalent of kind of AA, AAA baseball, right? So it's an
Okay.
affiliate program with the bigger club, but that has only come in later. So they were kind of freestanding clubs for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so now they're just kind of building the pyramid where, you know this, Alex, but you go to Europe and there's 7 divisions of
Right.
professional football
Yeah.
across Europe. And so you've got levels and tiers. So that's the 2nd division here in the U.S.
And you played goalkeeper?
No,
No?
I'm not tall enough for
Midfield?
goalkeeper. Yeah.
Midfield, right?
Midfield. So midfield, you hang out on the wing, you run a lot, you play
Yeah.
offense, you play defense, and
Yeah.
you score some, you assist some, but it's a lot of work. I mean,
You should have gone to this Columbus Crew game we went to on Saturday. Jacob and I went, and we watched Vancouver beat the Columbus Crew 2-1.
yeah.
And it was really close. But and then the week before we saw them play DC United.
Yeah.
Molly, I don't know if you've ever seen a professional soccer match before.
Well, you know
In
I'm going to
like-
start now because you told me that the guys
It
are
is-
all hot.
Yeah, I told Molly, oh, look at Erin. I mean,
Yes, I know.
I mean,
Stop it.
I know.
Molly likes professional sports purely to look at attractive men.
Okay.
That is not true.
That is
That's
true.
one
That's
good
not true.
reason
I mean,
to watch.
Molly,
I
own
like
it.
to look at Kevin Love.
Molly, just own it.
I like
Kevin
to
Love
look at
is
Kevin
your
Love.
is your man crush.
Dude, don't look at Molly.
Yes.
Don't look at Molly's phone. Whatever you do, you can't unsee the things that Molly has on
You
there.
don't want to unsee them. You
Well,
don't
I will
wanna
tell
unsee
you, the MLS is growing in popularity. When I came out of college, the minimum salary for someone entering the Major League Soccer was $17,500 a year. Now, I'm not that old, right? It's drastically different now,
Yeah.
but when I was coming out of college, that was the
Well,
deal.
so what is it now?
It's probably 65, 68
Wow.
minimum, plus
But-
kind of playoff
right.
bonus stuff when
Yeah.
you look at the NBA or
Yeah.
the NFL. And so it just speaks to the fact that soccer is growing a lot. I'm not that old. I'm 34. And so just in that span, I mean, I could make more money in the 2nd division playing
Yeah.
than I could in the MLS coming out. Not that you're making tons and tons of money. You're doing it more for the experience, right?
Yeah. Right.
But that's just kind of the inside look behind the scenes of where soccer is growing in the U.S. compared to other sports like the NBA, basketball,
Yeah.
MLB, baseball. When you look at minimum salary, it's not even close
We
to the
threw
range.
out Beckham a little bit too when we
Well,
were talking
he is
about
not on the minimum
talented.
salary. Let's
No.
just
Well, we were
say
talking about
that.
talent.
So at some point you decide, this soccer gig is fun and all, but
Yeah.
I want to take it to a whole nother place.
And how many years would that be?
Yeah, so I played 2006 to 2009.
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Um,
And you said I can do good things with this sport. And so talk about what Ambassador. It's Ambassador Football Club. Is that what it is?
Ambassadors football. Yeah.
Ambassadors Football. What's that?
So I'll give you a quick story. My life growing up was about sports and faith, but the two never really collided, right? So my parents are both Christians, and they raised me in those ways, and we spent a lot of time in church. But I spent a lot of time on the soccer field. I also played basketball. I ran track. I mean, it was sports and church. That was kind of
that
our
was it.
life growing up, And along the way, some of those things just got deep down inside of my heart, right? Soccer became my sport, and Jesus along the way became my God. And it wasn't a quick figuring out of that thing. It took a long time, right? It's like, that's just my parents' thing. Is that just their thing, or is that my thing? And the Bible, is it just a book, or is it more than a book? And so I started asking all of those questions and going through a series of just exploratory times and asking a lot of questions. And just for me, I mean, I celebrated Easter yesterday, and for me, the resurrection changed everything. The fact that Jesus got up, right? And so along the way, faith and sport became very, very important to me.
I did. Just speaking of Easter, I did get smacked yesterday by a woman, not literally, but by her comment. We were at the Olive Garden. Yes, a whole nother story for Easter dinner.
Yeah,
whole nother
wow.
story. Yeah,
In Italian style.
and a
Molly
little
likes the authentic Italian food. Easter
yeah, a
Sunday.
little kid was yapping the whole time in a good way, and we were teasing him and saying, "Were you the one making all that noise?" And then we started chatting with them, and I said, "Oh, did the Easter Bunny come to your house today?" And the mom looked at me and she said, "No, Jesus did." And it was like, you know what? That's so much better than the Easter Bunny. And then we just got to talking about that.
It's okay to still.
I love
right?
that
Easter
she-
bunnies are still allowed in the church, aren't they? Aaron, what's the
I don't
what's the position
know.
there?
I mean, I'm sure it's staying focused on what the true.
It's kind of like Santa Claus, like little kids.
Right, but I could see some face just wanting to stay focused on what is true. What is.
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, this is the reason for the season, right? That rhymes a lot at Christmas time. We use it, reason for the season. We remember
Right.
Jesus was born, right? Historical fact, he was born. Whether you believe he's Messiah or not, different question, right?
Right.
Historical fact, a guy named Jesus of Nazareth was born. He's the reason for the season, right?
Right.
So the same would be true in Easter when we're going, hey, when we're talking about Easter, let's just remember why
Right.
we're celebrating Easter. And we're not saying we're worshiping a bunny or chocolate eggs.
Right.
And those are there, but if those
Yeah.
become the main thing rather than remembering
Yeah,
the why.
so she was just,
you
I
know.
think, just keeping her.
So I remember the why,
yeah.
and did we do an Easter egg hunt with my kids? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did we eat some candy? Yeah.
Right.
I got the whole iPhone X, and you can make these Animoji apps. I don't know if
yes.
you've seen these things
I've
yet.
not.
But you can be a bunny,
Oh, it's like
and you
Snapchat.
can make these,
Wait.
and it follows your
What
facial
do you
expressions.
have, the Galaxy?
The iPhone X.
Oh, okay. I think I have the Galaxy 9 Plus.
It's
I
an
think
only
it's the same.
only a feature for the X. It's brand new. So
Okay.
did I make a few Animoji Easter bunnies and send them to
You
friends and
bet
be like,
your
I'm
butt
the
I
Easter
did.
bunny? Yeah, I did, right? Because it's just fun.
Nothing wrong
Right.
with that. Aaron.
Nothing.
Um,
Yeah.
So I think
So
just
go ahead.
remembering
I'm
the
sorry.
why is
Just
important
it reminded
when it
me
comes to
that.
Easter.
Well, here, so let's talk about. By the way, you should put that on airplane mode, or Nellie, our producer, is going to yell at all of us,
Oh, Nelly.
mostly at me.
I don't want to be
Nelly.
on Nellie's bad list.
No,
No,
you
she
don't.
Does she rap? That's just the real question. Does Nellie rap?
You know, I think she does.
I think
I-
she
I'm
would.
from St. Louis originally.
That was going to
So
ask you.
Nelly the rapper
you
is
have
from
kind
St.
of an
Louis.
accent, but St.
It's a little
Louis
southern.
would not
It's kinda
be.
southern a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my wife is from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Again.
I'm from St. Louis. We did spend 4 years in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, maybe
I
you
don't know.
picked it up there. I don't know.
But when you travel a lot and you
Yeah.
speak in different languages and you pick up different pieces and
yeah, so let's
you just go there.
let's dive into.
Yeah. All right. Well, so all right. where we are today
Yeah.
is that you travel. I'm going to set it up, and then you tell me why I'm totally wrong. You travel around the world to lots of countries, but among them underprivileged countries.
Correct. Yeah.
Third world countries, and bring really good soccer players with you.
Yep.
Right? And you play soccer there, and there's prayer involved, and there's missionary work involved. But you go to Haiti, right? And you go to
Yeah, I just got back
Africa.
from Haiti a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And you go to places where, they probably don't see Americans hardly ever except
Right.
on TV.
I mean, the fun part is when they start to play with your skin, and I've got kind of hairy arms and blonde hair, you
Right.
know, and they start pulling, and what
Yeah.
is this? And
Like an alien.
you take a picture, and they just really want to see it because they haven't seen their face in a mirror.
Right.
Right? We just kind of take some of that stuff for granted when you go to like
Never
deep
thought about
jungles
that.
of whatever, and I'm taking a picture, and they're going, I've never seen my face before.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
when you're confronted with what you actually look like, and you've never seen that before, I mean, their eyes
Yeah.
light up, and they're just amazed. So
So
Yeah,
that's
lots of
where you
travel.
are today.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that, but I don't think we fully got the picture of how you got to there.
sure.
So let's talk about that first, and then what you do in Haiti when you go to Haiti or any
Yeah.
other country.
Yeah,
so
I can do
you're,
this.
You're playing soccer. You're getting more and more religious, and then at some point you stop playing soccer for a team and you become a pastor.
Yeah.
And then so walk us through that story.
Yeah. So I just kind of realized at the end of 4 years, did it, good experience. I'm not being shipped off to Europe. I'm not going to
Right.
make tons of money and do all these things. But at the same time, I had in my heart just a need and a desire to go and serve. Right. And serving means different things to different people. But really, it's thinking less of yourself and thinking more of others, and realizing that like I have been blessed, however you want to define that word. And I think all of us in America would agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, all of us in America should agree.
We should agree.
Don't agree. We don't think of it enough or remind ourselves of it enough.
Because we're comparing to each other instead of comparing it
we
to
just
other countries.
Yeah, we forget to be grateful and have
I
perspective.
mean, when you look at the majority of the world who live on less than $1 a day,
Right.
it's an interesting perspective to go, wait, I'm rich?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Right.
Regardless of who you are when you
Right.
live in America, I'm rich, you know?
Yeah.
So along the way, God started working on my heart, and not really knowing where I was going to go after soccer. But I ran into Ambassadors in 2010. Okay. So I played through 2009, ran into Ambassadors 2010.
All right. What's Ambassadors exactly?
Ambassadors started in 1990 in Bolton, England. A group of guys who played college soccer. Their parents were missionaries. They said, how do we get just the good news of the gospel to the ends of the earth, and how do we meet needs along the way? And so in 1990, they formed Ambassadors Football, using what they had, because you've got something to offer and you've got something to offer, and it's different than me, right? And those things have been placed inside of you, and you're good at certain things, and you've got talents, and you've got gifts, and you've got abilities. So they said, what's inside of us that we can then give to the world, right? And that was the beginning of Ambassadors Football in Bolton.
Because they said, I'm good at soccer.
Yeah, they said, well, we all grew up playing soccer. The world speaks soccer. Let's just be honest. They can speak French, or they can speak Creole, or they can speak Spanish, but what do they all speak? They all speak soccer. And
Yeah.
so
You're so right. And they don't. You're right. Everyone knows the rules in general. It's
Yeah.
it's highly collaborative, and it's highly like a fellowship, right? It's kind of like
what's
people
the
come together.
relational connect at the
Yeah.
end of a match? I mean, you come together after you've
Yeah.
just played and whatever, and instantly we're friends. We huddle up at
Right.
the end. We're all like arms around each other, and
Yeah.
there's great joy and celebration. I think when you look at the game of soccer in general, it speaks to the ebbs and flows of life as well, right? You've got this, you make a
That's
mistake. Whoa. That's what happens in life, right? There's ups and downs in life. You score, you all celebrate together. You didn't just do it on your own. You had a team that helped you do it. So just remember, anytime that things happen in life, it's not just because of you. You are not the center of the universe, right? So the game just naturally speaks to all of life. And so they realized, hey, we've got a powerful tool to connect with people around the world. You live in a city, you live in a village. You speak this language or that language. You're rich, you're poor. You can
Right.
play on the beach, we can play in the sand, we can play in a stadium. Doesn't matter. The ball is a tool that speaks to the world and helps us build relationship. And as we have relationship, then you go, okay, what are the needs? And how do we meet those needs? Right? So Ambassador starts in England, and then they begin to raise up people inside of England who have the same heartbeat. And then they go to another country and raise up more people in that country who can do the same thing. And then to another country and to another country. And here we are in 2018, from 1990 to 2018, 28 years later. The same guy who was the founder is still the founder and president today. So
how did you bump into it?
Yeah, 2010, I end up in a teammate's wedding. So I'm a groomsman in the wedding. The guy who's standing next to me is also a professional soccer player. The guy who's getting married, professional soccer player. He'd known him from a different team, different setting. I knew him in my context. We stand next to each other as groomsmen in a wedding in Bakersfield, California.
Okay.
And I said, "Hey man, I'm Erin." He says, "Great, I'm Erin." I'm like, "Oh, we've got the same name. This is interesting. Tell me about what you do." He's like, "Well, I just flew in from South Africa." I'm like, what were you doing there, right? And he begins to tell me a little bit about what he's been doing with ambassadors. And so just through that conversation, that was about the time the World Cup was about to happen in South Africa that summer.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "We're doing a bunch of ministry at the World Cup, some different pieces." And I said, "Well, what do you need? How can I help? Is there any ways that I could fit in?" And from that was the beginning of my connection to ambassadors.
Okay.
And along the way, I've just kind of picked up more and more pieces and helped more and more and raised the money to do the project, and then raise more money to do the next project, and keep kind of
So talk
ongoing
about
way.
that, because I was going to wonder, like, who do people hire you to come to their country? Do you how do you decide where the next place you're going to go, and where do you get the money?
Yeah, everything that I do comes through fundraising. So it would be people who believe in me and who believe in the mission and who believe in the tool that we use, and they say, we can help. And so we've got some people who give $50 a month to help do that. Some people who give a one-time donation of $100, towards a specific project. Yeah. And so there is a fundraising component to it, but nonprofit ministry, that's the way it is, right? And so we've got a couple sponsors for the organization at large. We're now in over 25 countries, reaching about 100,000 people a year. And so what that looks like is there's a few sponsors that cover some different things corporately, but then each of us kind of individually who are involved raise money on our own to do the projects. And so how do you figure out where to go next is a great question. And it takes a lot of discernment and a lot of listening and a lot of question asking. Because I never want to go if it's just a one-time deal for the picture.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean? What does that mean?
If you go, me, you, Molly, we go. We take Gene with us. We bring a couple other people with us.
Molly doesn't fly, so I'm probably
we pay for the plane tickets. We find a place to stay. We pay for all the meals. We do all these things, and we go and we run a soccer camp for teenagers, right? And we run it in the morning from 9 to noon, and it's great. We connect with them, and along the way, we start to hear their story, what they need, and all those different pieces. On Friday, when it's over, we take a great group photo. We post it on all of our social media. This is awesome, and then we head back home. If there's no long-term plan for ongoing care of those people or a ministry strategy on the ground, I won't go. Because there's too many people who just go for the picture to say, look what I did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's not about that. It's not about our fame. It's not about our glory. It's not about our organization name. It's really about serving the people and doing something that actually makes a difference there long term. And so
so what would you do then? You would start, finding people who have your same heart there, and then start grooming them to continue forth.
The best way forward in a lot of ways that these countries start is because there's indigenous people that are raised up who care for their own people. Mm-hmm. So it's not always like we got a whole team of $20,000 worth of people coming over, and we're going to spend all this money to come, and then we're just going to leave. It's investing actually in leaders on the ground. There's a lot of leadership development pieces that we work on too. And so sometime in the interview questions that you guys prompted me before said, what do you do, right? What's your title? What's your job title, right? And I wrote to you guys, spiritual entrepreneur, as in As in, we're trying to create spaces where people can intersect their lives with God, that they can fall in love with God and then love and care for people. Love God, love people. So if we can create environments, ongoing environments, where people can continue to do those two things and be trained to do those things, I think the world will be a better place.
Yeah, amen. How long do you stay there, and do you do anything here in our own country?
Yeah, so just depends on the project and the need and kind of what the invite is and what the long-term plan is on the duration of a trip. So I've been on trips that were 24 days, which is very, very long. My wife would tell you her max is 10. 3 little ones at home, the max is 10.
Yeah.
Preferred 7, right? And so just duration changes.
Okay.
According to the trip. So you had one other follow-up question.
Do you do anything here in the States?
Yeah, so we do have an office in Cleveland. The way that it plays out here, it's a youth club. It's a travel youth club, like a select youth club. So we've got about 500 players that are in our youth club. So they compete in the highest level of youth soccer around here. They've got a coach who's kind of their mentor. One of the biggest needs around the world, we're not running into it as much here yet, is fatherlessness. As in, there's so many kids around the world who the dad is not in the picture, right? And so a coach steps in.
Sure.
And exists as a father figure in these kids' lives. Whether they're 17 or they're 7, it doesn't really matter. The need is the need, right? Around the world, when you form teams and you identify coaches who love and care and go, why would I coach soccer when I can coach all of life? Right? I could step in, I could coach soccer, and I could do an hour-and-a-half training session twice a week, and then we could play our match on the weekend. But if I don't take that and realize that I now have an opportunity with 15, 18 young people to invest and coach their whole life,
right?
I've missed it. So we've got youth clubs in the U.S. About 500 kids play here in Cleveland. We've got some work with refugees who get resettled here in Cleveland, in the Akron area mostly. So those are people from Congo and Vietnam and whoever kind of comes through the government agency and gets resettled here. They're getting resettled into cities across the whole U.S. And so there are pockets of people who represent the nations who live in our own backyard. So when it comes to our mission, we would be completely missed if we weren't saying the nations of the world are here. The tool we have works.
Right.
Let's serve the people in our own backyard. We do a lot of things like, shoe drives or clothing and different things like that to help here locally as well as send abroad. We do a camp program every summer, day camps, in partnership with a few local churches. So we do that in Cleveland. We do it in St. Louis, where I'm from. We've got a small office there where we also offer chaplaincy for the pro team in St. Louis. And so we work with the professional players on just kind of what's behind your performance.
I'll tell you something. Here's the thing, right? Because I'm not a religious guy. I've told you that, Erin.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've always admired about people in the religion business, right, for lack of a better word, like in religious organizations, churches,
industry, however
whatever,
you want to phrase it,
is that there really is a focus on giving, right? And it is fundamentally, except to the extent that it's abused, which is true in every industry. It is really they're giving and giving back and helping people rise above their station is pretty central to every religious organization, right? There really is that sense of selflessness, yeah, and it's probably, except for charitable organizations that are built for that specific purpose, like there aren't really private companies, right? Private companies are there to make money. Other organizations are there for their own purpose. Religious organizations have as part of their purpose helping other people, which is really admirable.
And Erin, between you and I, we're going to bring some Jesus and God into him.
Well, that's not
my
gonna,
goal. That the reason that
happen.
he and I have even come to partner up. I've always told him that. Haven't I always told you that?
Yeah,
that's my goal in life.
So she's got a whole goal.
I do.
Let's be clear.
Bring
so
God
first of
into
all,
your
I'm
life,
Jewish, and second of all, I'm a really bad Jew.
I said God. I didn't say Jesus.
I'm not a very good Jew.
I said God.
No, and I believe that there is a definite place for spirituality in people's lives.
Yeah.
For sure, right? And I think that there's a lot of science behind. Okay, so here, let's back up. Can I give you a quick spiel? Did you guys ever hear about blue zones?
No.
Right. So National Geographic sent this dude named Dan Buettner around the world. I didn't tell you about this, Molly?
I don't think so.
Dan Buettner was a journalist for National Geographic magazine. They sent him around the world to find the cities and the villages and the population centers that had the highest life expectancy. He found 4 cities on the planet where the average life expectancy was over 100.
Wow.
Over 100. That means half of the people there.
If you tell me they're all atheists, I'm going to reach across here and
just
slap
the opposite.
you.
Just the opposite. Because because this is why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
That would be a horrible story to tell.
It would,
a pastor
right
is your
now.
guest.
Yes, that would
just
be.
the opposite. First of all, do you know where the 4 cities on the planet were? And he called them blue zones. And the concept was figure out, Dan Buettner, find the cities and then figure out what traits they all have in common.
Wow.
Because what you can then do is bring those traits back, and it's like you've discovered the fountain of youth. You know, you can basically create a lifestyle around these traits that have been proven.
Okay, so what are they?
Where do you think they are?
Somewhere in Asia.
One is in Asia.
Yep.
One is in Okinawa, Japan. Where do you think they are, Molly? The other 3?
Not in the United States.
One is in the United States.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Utah?
Loma Linda, California. Home of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, right? The other 2 are Icaria, Greece, and Sardinia, right? So he found 9 things that they all had in common. And one of those 9 things was that in all 4 cities, they all had immense senses of faith, right? Like everybody they prayed together, they did religious rituals together. So the reason I bring it up is I do believe that there's a lot of science behind faith and faith-based communities leading to healthier lifestyles and longer life. And the other things they had in common, in addition to that, are like daily exercise. Loma Linda, California, for example, the Seventh-day Adventist Church members, they have a ritual where after church every day they take a mile walk with their families. They go for a walk with their families. Icaria is a fishing community. Everybody fishes or does something in fishing industry, so it's physical. Yeah. Okinawa, Japan is built into a mountain. You can't walk outside your house without going like straight up and down.
Yeah.
Sardinia is a fishing community too. Anyway, so exercise, faith. Here's the one I've got a problem with. They all have vegetable-based diets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the big one.
That's the one. That's the one I'm going to have an issue with. You know what's interesting? Since we're on this topic, the 4th thing that they all have in common is nobody retires. They slow down when they get older.
With our college loans, that's going to happen.
I'm not retiring.
Yeah, but retirement's an interesting topic. In that, when you retire, if you have things to do, it's good for you. Mm-hmm. If you retire and you sit on the couch and you watch TV, it's not good for you.
That's
and
right.
It actually is worse for you.
That's right.
It leads to a sedentary lifestyle.
That's right.
And so it's very interesting when you think about retirement and what that looks like for us. And, as we continue to work, and is retirement a thing, or does it look different than what it looked like? You
got to keep your brain sharp. You got to keep your body moving.
Right.
It doesn't have to be professionally. It just so happens that in these 4, and they're all pretty poor places, except Loma Linda, I think, is pretty up there. But they all keep their bodies moving. The 5th thing that they all had in common was that they had really, really close family units, right? And in most of those cities, the grandparents lived with the grandkids, right?
Wow.
Like, cousins lived with each other or close to each other. And then another one was that I like this one. He had a word for it, but it was a strong sense of purpose. And the way he defined it,
I was going to say that actually before, so go on.
The way he defined it was that if you went up to anyone in any of those 4 communities and said, "What's your reason for getting out of bed in the morning?" like that, they'd be like, "Oh, It's to make sure that my kid goes to school, or that my grandson learns to play the piano, or to finish this book that I've been writing, or whatever, right? Or to serve God, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, everyone automatically knows what their purpose is, and they're constantly working towards it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, purpose is interesting. So, like, faith does give you purpose.
Yeah.
But also, when you're in a smaller town, everybody's got their part, right? You're kind of talking about some smaller communities here.
Yeah.
So everybody has to play their part. If they don't play their part, the thing doesn't work.
Right.
Right. So there's two things going on. One, they've got a divine purpose, but two, they've got a functional purpose. They've
Right.
got work to do, and I think that was part of the original design of humanity. Is we do have work to do.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that's interesting. The word purpose.
Yeah.
There's a.
Go ahead. No, you were going to say something.
I'm just saying there's a great book that's out there. It's been out there for a long time. Kind of a
Purpose-driven
bestseller.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason it's a bestseller. Everyone's looking for purpose. Even Justin Bieber singing about purpose, right?
That
like
was
that.
the book that a woman, the guy.
There was a home attack, a home
Yes,
invasion.
He
escaped from jail.
from a jail.
Yeah.
And she sat with him
Yeah.
and read that book. And,
And he gave himself up.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what happened with him, because he was very moved. Like, she literally...
There was a manhunt. I think it was Atlanta. There was like a
Yes.
whole manhunt.
He was
for
in
him.
front of the judge, and
I
then
have
he escaped.
never heard this story.
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah, he escaped, and she was trying to connect with him, and she sat and read that book to him for
Yeah.
hours
Yeah.
and hours.
And he just sat there and listened.
Yes. Yeah.
Now this was like,
And then he gave himself up.
Yeah, there was like a manhunt on for him for like a week.
Yeah, he lived in it was in a
And
condo.
He had a gun to her head, and she thought she was going to die. And she said, "Well, I've got this book. I'm going to read it. If you want to listen to it, you should listen to it." And it like moved him so much that he gave
Yeah.
himself up.
Well, she's like,
It's
if I'm
crazy.
going to die anyways, I
Yeah.
might as
Might
well
as well
tell you the
read this
good
one.
news
That's
here.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
listen up for a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of life or death, this was going to be my next question. So let's countries. So we know Haiti.
Yeah, that's most
How many
recent.
countries you been to?
I
With
don't
ambassador?
know. 50-ish. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How often do you go?
3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times a year. Some of those have multiple countries in them. Right.
Yeah.
So last year we took a trip to South America, but it was Peru and Colombia. Right. It's not like just going to Colombia. You're scouting out a few different things in different pieces. So this year to Haiti, I'll be in England as well, Bolivia, and then Southeast Asia.
Have you ever felt like your life was in danger? And this is where your wife can hit pause and go leave the room.
No, she knows the story I'm about
Yeah.
to tell you. So
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah,
What was the country?
Bon Jovi.
yes.
That's who he looks like.
So
Right?
in Spain several years ago, I would be walking down the street,
Yes.
and all I would hear, I had long blonde hair. All I would hear was Bon Jovi, Bon Jovi, Bon Jovi.
He does.
So,
He totally does.
You got it. A number of years ago, it was a much closer look, but
Well,
now
he has
it's
short
different.
hair now.
Yeah,
I was going to ask for an ADD update, and we just got it.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've not started the meds.
yeah, Bon
sorry.
Jovi.
Yeah.
But
Bon
that
Jovi.
was
Go ahead,
not
Bon
that was
Jovi.
not a dangerous scenario. Spain, not
Yeah,
dangerous.
No.
Most dangerous scenario that I've found myself in was in Nigeria. Northern Nigeria. I went with a whole professional team. We played 3 matches in the stadiums, kind of did our whole thing, stirred up some noise, did the whole publicity thing, TV, radio, all those things. Hey, the Americans are here, da-da-da-da-da. It just becomes a big ordeal once they find out you're in the city. You do some coaching clinics in each of the cities. And so we decided, we've been in 2 southern cities, let's go north. Right? So I don't know what you know about political climate or the split in Nigeria. So middle of the country down, Christian. As you get further north, Muslim,
Yeah.
right? You're getting closer and closer to the desert and what you know,
Europe,
Egypt
yeah.
and some of those other places up there.
They don't get along.
And so it was a very volatile area,
Yeah.
just in general, not towards Christians, not just in general, towards anyone. And so we go to Bauchi and Maiduguri in Nigeria, and we pull up at night. And when it's night in Africa, by the way, it's dark. There are no street lights.
Right.
There are no buildings with lights.
You're in space.
It's dark. We pull up at night, completely dark. They leave us in what they call the Olympic Village, is where we're staying. Okay. They show us to our hotel. It's about 8-story high brick building, which is very rare in Africa. But it looks like part of the side of the building is bombed out.
Oh, boy.
But we're showing up at night, so it's kind of like, what is that? And like literally part of the building has been like shot off.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? And so you walk into the hotel, the Olympic Village, the air quotes there, right? And there's no lights. There's candles. So you're carrying a candle, carrying in all your luggage. You've traveled, 8, 10, 12 hours on an African road, bumping, hot, no air conditioner. You get there, it's night. The building is halfway bombed out. You walk in, just candlelight, so you can only see from me to Molly.
Oh, my gosh.
With my light. Yeah. And so you kind of turn the corner, and what do you see? Well, there's a couch over there. Oh, it looks like there's someone on the couch. Oh, who's on the couch? It's a big Nigerian guy with a massive gun.
Oh, my God.
Right? So then you're like, okay, keep walking, right? Walking. Where are the stairs? What room am I in?
There's no front desk.
On the next wall, another guy. Not in like military garb, not in police garb. Another massive Nigerian man with a gun, lots of bullets. I mean, just, okay. And just, there's several of them, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, going upstairs. Going to go to my room. Going to go to sleep. Wake up in the morning. Hopefully we make it, right? And so I get up to my room. I open the door. It's one cot. That's all it is in the room. No other furniture. And there is one picture on the wall. It's not even a picture. It's not in the frame. It's a poster. Any guesses on who is on the wall in Bauchi?
Justin Bieber.
David Beckham.
Nope. Those are both good guesses. It's a
Jackson.
poster of Tupac. Over the top of my bed.
That's awesome.
Tattooed up, all eyes on me. Tupac poster over the top of my bed. Nothing else in the room.
Incidentally, just as an aside for the listeners, that's also the same poster Molly has right next to her bed.
Yeah, mine's John Cassidy.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And so that night, I was very scared.
Sure.
Oh, my God.
Completely dark.
What was the purpose of the guys there?
I
mean, obviously they're not on their game.
But there's tons of people like outside of the building, like making noise quietly. Like some of them are armed. I mean, it's just kind of a weird scenario, right? And so I lock the door and I go to sleep, and I'm like, all right.
That's crazy.
Waking up in the morning. So we get up in the morning, we come down, seems kind of normal. We go out to do our thing out on the field with some people. It's been publicized, so a bunch of people are coming. There's maybe like 250 kids that are coming to this thing. By kids in Africa, it's up to like age 26, 27, right? That's kind of what you're meaning, because they're not doing a lot in a lot of these places, so that's still a kid kind of age. And so all these people come out for this coaching clinic, right? We got professional guys from the States. We're going to coach you and how to play football, right? And they're going, Americans coaching up. That's kind of their vibe. So we start doing it. And then out to the field comes an angry mob of people, headdresses, rakes, shovels.
What?
Da-da-da, da-da-da. And we've got our translator and our host who's there with him, and he goes out to meet him, and they start talking, and he's going back, no, we've been invited, and hands up in the air. I mean, emphatic, and I'm like trying to coach, and and when we coach, we kind of break down and we share life lessons, and we teach some of the scripture and some of those things, and it's like, okay, this is not going well out of the corner of my eye, and I'm trying to do my thing and have our good time and do our pictures and like, the whole thing you're supposed to do, right?
Oh my
and
to be clear, you're in the Muslim part of Nigeria where they're not fond of Christians.
Right. Or Americans.
Right.
And we showed up at night, which is like, how did you get here?
Right,
that kind of thing. We're on their field that they probably want to use,
Right.
you know. Now, we felt like we've been invited. Someone asked us to come, you know, all those things. And as they're talking, out of the corner of my eye, I see one of them take out like their prayer board, right? The Muslim prayer board. It's kind of like a plasticky kind of wooden piece of thing that they write their prayers on. And they take it and they crack it over the top of our translator and our host's head.
What?
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm like, okay.
Pack it up, kids.
Yep. And so evidently what I get back, the information I get back is you have 15 minutes to be out of here. Otherwise, this is going to get bad.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
So he comes back to us. He goes, time to wrap it up, guys. Let's go. Right?
Oh my god.
And so we wrapped it up, brought everybody in. Thanks so much. We love you. See you later. And so
Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just
Oh
got
my
out of there.
goodness.
And
Oh
I
my
told you it
God.
was a volatile area in the first place,
Right.
right? And so there were a couple other scenarios that were in the newspaper leading up to it and following it where they would burn people's houses and a few different things. And it was pretty serious. That was the one time that I felt like this
Yeah.
is danger, you
Yeah.
know. Other than that, I can kind of deal with a lot
Were
of stuff.
you already married with kids at the time?
Let's see. I think I was married, no kids.
Okay.
Okay.
Man.
And what do you do? Like, is this your job? Is this your 40-hour-a-week type of?
It's not 40-hour a week.
But is this what you do, or do you do something else?
Yeah, it's part of my
in
job.
addition to it? Okay.
So I am a pastor at a church here in
Okay.
Chagrin,
Next to the lantern.
Oh.
right next to the Lantern Fellowship Bible Church.
Oh, okay. So you left. You took over for a Chagrin grad, who was the pastor there.
Only
At
you
one
would know.
time,
I wanna say-
Jamie
I wanted to say
Rasmussen.
Dave. Oh, maybe.
So
Went to school with my husband. Would have been
yeah.
maybe about 53 years old, 54.
yeah,
went to
so
school.
Fellowship Bible Church right there on
Oh,
306.
yes. I live right in Chagrin Lakes, right across the street.
And so I just moved to Cleveland in August. So that was
Okay,
part
so
of
you're
the
new.
part of the deal was
Okay.
there. Oddly enough, the other guy that I pastor with is the guy who I was in the wedding with in California.
Aaron?
The other Aaron.
Stop it.
So Aaron, and we've got another pastor named Joe who does a lot of our pastoral care pieces, and he's great at counseling and different things like that. And so we're both here together, work for Ambassadors, and work for the
Okay,
church.
he lives in our neighborhood, right?
Yeah, he lives in
Aaron?
Lake Lucerne. Yeah.
Have a
But you
soccer
need to tell me how that came about, because gosh, and Jesus, God was working.
Yeah, I
working.
mean, since 2010,
Are you
he
kidding
and I.
me? They were in a wedding together, which led him into being an ambassador, and now they're together. And you're going to sit there and tell me that was not a plan? Oh my gosh! Go ahead, Aaron. Don't listen to him.
I've got nothing to add. That's wonderful.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
Molly is very moved by this, obviously.
so we have a great time
crazy.
together. Since 2010, Aaron and I have kind of worked on projects. He's been my connect to Ambassadors as I've kind of come in more and more and more. And so just along the way, he's saying, hey, we're going to this church, but, we need some leadership in different pieces. And I know you have done that for a number of years as well. Like, what would it look like, if we kind of did this thing together and did everything in one place together rather than over phone call or Zoom call or
Right.
Skype or, different pieces. So all in one place, and we live in the same neighborhood and pastor at the same church and do the same mission stuff, and we both play professional
Very
soccer,
cool.
and it's just interesting. And we have the same name. And he's 50% Japanese. I'm only 0.5%, but it's just all coming
It's not
together.
a competition.
I was going to
Aaron.
ask if
It's
he
not a
looks like
competition.
if he
It's all
looks
right.
like Bon Jovi too, but I'm thinking with the 60%, he probably doesn't.
He looks like Ozzy, is what it is.
So yeah, I mean, we're
Oh,
new to
that's
Cleveland
crazy.
just since
Well, welcome.
since August, and the church is going great. And Ambassadors World Headquarters is actually in Cleveland.
Oh.
So that piece kind of then to the rest of the world from here.
Okay. Very cool.
Aaron's got a 4-year-old little girl, and whenever Maya comes over my house, it's pretty much just, when's Phoenix coming over? When can I go play with Phoenix?
That's right.
And it's just nonstop.
Phoenix was asking for Maya 2 days ago as well. She said, "Can I go play with Maya?" I'm like,
They're
"Babe, I don't know
besties.
if they're there."
All right, I think it's time for the lightning round. Molly, what do you think?
Sure.
Is it
Oh
time?
wow, I don't even know about
Sure.
this.
It's about to get
Yeah.
real, Aaron.
I'll be fast. Here we
All
go.
right.
I'm ready. Let me
Molly,
get some tea.
you want to go first?
Okay. I gotta remember my new questions. Okay, what your last binge? What have you binged recently?
Oh man. I did watch a Netflix show way too much. It was mostly like a teenage girl show that I shouldn't
We
have
love-
watched.
We love.
I got like 12, 13 episodes in, and then
Spill.
I've kind of Heart of Dixie.
Oh, that's
What?
funny. I did see
Who's
that
that?
the other day.
It's like this girl who's in New York, and she's a doctor, and she can't find a job coming out of this thing, and she ends up moving to like way south Alabama, and in this like little town, she starts practicing medicine, and there's some like heartthrob romantic comedy
Very
little
Hallmark.
things that pop up.
I really feel like I don't even know you anymore. Erin.
Very Hallmark.
Who
That's
are
what I'm
you?
saying. I
Who
mean,
are you?
I love
She's-
it.
I mean,
I love it.
If I'm honest, that's what happened.
That's right. That's right.
I just got to be honest, though.
And my other binge.
That is a little
or-
embarrassing.
Oh,
It's okay.
I
well, now
love
the whole
it.
world knows, and
Heart
there's nothing
of
you can do
Dixie.
about
Heart
it.
of
Yeah.
Dixie. Yeah. The other question is, what's on your mind? What's weighing heavy on your mind lately?
As of this afternoon, the city of Cleveland.
Why?
I heard about an organization that's doing some great things in the city with off of Scranton Road. It's called Scranton Road Ministries, and just thinking a little bit more about what they're doing and the population they're serving. A lot of the refugees that moved into Cleveland live in that area, and I've just been thinking a lot about what they're doing and how they're serving that population in that area, and if there's ways for our church to connect the dots and serve there more.
Do you guys have like an adoptive church in Cleveland at all that you guys partner with?
Historically, Fellowship has been connected with Scranton Road through their meal pieces, through their tutoring pieces, through their job help pieces, through a variety of
So
different
it would
things.
make sense.
So it would make sense for us to dive in a little bit more. And so just been thinking about that this afternoon.
Interesting. Okay.
Erin, you're on a desert island for 3 months, and you can only bring one author with you. But you get to bring his entire or hers entire library.
Entire library of an author.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis.
Oh, interesting. Line the Witch
Going
and
with the
Wardrobe.
Brits.
Good stuff. Yeah, you get like 20, 30 books out of him.
You get a lot out of that.
Yeah.
You've got some that are, the Chronicles of Narnia, so it's the story side, but it's got a point and it's got a purpose.
Yeah.
But you also get some of the more like straight up, here's the way it is kind of books as well. That's not so fantasy driven. So you get a wide collection with him.
I read that when I was real little, and I had no idea about the layers of complexity that he put into that story. I just thought it was a
He
really
was
cool
brilliant.
story.
I saw the
He was
film.
literally brilliant.
Shocking.
Yeah.
All right, Erin, same desert island. You get to bring the entire discography of one musician. Who's the
And you
musician?
can't say Bon Jovi.
Yeah, no.
Because that's who he was
That
going
would
to
have
say.
been great. So I'm a massive R&B fan.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
I love that rhythm
Nice.
and blues.
Got to
feel.
pick one though.
One entire.
That would be hard
collection.
in that genre.
It is tough. It is very tough. Usher Raymond.
Interesting.
Is that Usher?
Yeah, that is Usher.
I love how he moved close to the microphone like he was going to tell us a big secret.
Yeah, I mean that's a secret. That's out there. Yeah.
Usher, I don't know if I would know. I mean, other than the ones that we hear, I don't know if
The reason I said it is because he is kind of getting towards the end, so he does have a lot more content than what you would have thought. So I kind of like a lot of current things, but he has more content. So in terms of discographies,
Sure.
right? He's probably got 8
Yeah.
if
Right.
I'm thinking about it. So it would give me some variety.
and probably new things that you probably wouldn't have heard before.
And
that
from
you
when
could
he
discover.
started when he's 13, so he probably sounds different when he's 13 to when he's
Did you watch Jesus Christ Superstar last night?
I did
either
not.
of you? I didn't either.
No, but I love Jesus Christ.
I heard it
Superstar.
was great.
I've
but
seen
I
it
didn't-
live on stage like 15 times.
I think John
I love it.
Legend was.
I've
the-
never
Legend was in it.
I've never seen it, but I heard people talking about it today. How good John Legend was.
Okay.
Well, it's Andrew Lloyd Webber, right?
Yeah.
Wrote it. The music and the script
It's
is
very good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's really good. All right. Final lightning round question. It's important, so think about it long and hard. What is an embarrassing thing about yourself that nobody knows?
I have an incredibly hairy back.
Again, moved his mouth towards the microphone.
Clearly,
just
somebody
wanna
knows
get
that.
Alex, mind your own business.
Right now, Lauren is like, excuse me, I'm calling BS on that one.
Well, she knows, and I'm sure more people know than I would like to think that know, but yeah.
Well, then you could have gone to the water park with Alex. You probably would have fit in, right?
Goodness.
I've been watching a lot of the Queer Eyed for the Straight Guy episodes, and they're always waxing everybody. Always waxing.
I'll tell you what, I just had a conversation.
That's what we should do next podcast. We should...
A waxing?
A waxing.
No, thank you.
I was thinking that, and you and I
you.
should do the 23 or whatever. The getting your
23andMe?
Yeah, I said we do that. And
So
then
you know what happened? I
here.
got it. I ordered it. I spent $200 on it like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I never sent it in. And it has a 1-year expiration, so I blew $200 for nothing.
Alex.
I was just commenting to someone, to a dear friend the other day, that women got the short end of the deal on like hair removal and like waxing and like eyebrow plucking and just in general the whole all the stuff that society makes women have to go through, setting aside the childbirth thing.
Right.
Whole different category.
Yeah.
Category of its own.
Suck. Oh my God. But like even once you get past that, right? I mean, women, God bless you. You just
Thanks, Alex.
You put yourselves through so much discomfort.
Thank you so much.
You know?
That is the one rule in our house. If the house is on fire or if something happens to me, like a heart attack or something, my husband knows that he is to pick me up and go into the bathroom and shave anything that needs to be shaved before he calls any fire police officer over to my house.
Erin, do you know that?
No way.
Do you know that Molly refused to go to her? What was it? Which doctor appointment was it? Because you couldn't shave your legs.
That was my down the throat, up the butt doctor appointment.
Molly,
you're like, I'm just gonna cancel.
I did
because
I didn't have time in the shower.
Yeah, she didn't shave her legs.
Yeah, and
It's
then when I went to actually get it done, I ended up canceling the up the butt part, and I just did down the throat part. And I was fully clothed during it, so I didn't even have to cancel. Oh, goodness
well,
gracious.
we've learned a lot today, kids.
Yes,
Let's
we're very
do
close.
a quick recap, shall we?
Yes.
We learned that Ambassador Football Club.
We've got clubs.
Is that what it's called?
The whole organization is called Ambassadors Football. One of the programs is called the club.
Yeah.
And it's not really football.
No, it is really football.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Let's just say it clearly.
Yeah,
there's American football and then there's real football.
Yes.
Okay.
Got you.
And we learned that Erin almost got killed in Nigeria.
But Erin's just pretty badass.
By an angry mob. And
great things.
Yeah, that he does good things and it's inspiring. And Erin, if one were to wonder how to help and get involved in what you do, what would one do?
Yeah, the easiest way would be to jump on a website, Ambassadors Football, FOOTBALL, ambassadorsfootball.org, and then it's /Aaron, AARON, hyphen
Aaron.
Aaron, it's a great video. AARON hyphen Deloach, DELOACH.
And we will have that up when we post this. That there'll be a link for that for sure.
And would love to connect with people even socially. It's at Erin Deloach, whatever social media you're using.
Cool.
So, nice.
Molly?
Yes.
Any final words?
Film festival next week. It starts. I have a documentary in the film
Molly's
festival.
a documentarian.
Wow.
Yeah,
it starts. Mine's on April 11th, but it starts this Wednesday is opening night, and so I'll be doing that. But I don't think this will be out by then, if I'm thinking about it now. But
what part of Cleveland is the film festival in?
It is in Tower City.
Okay.
April 11th at 9:30, Grove Hill, a true story about the kids that ride down the hill on pumpkins for the past 50 years. Is my film. So
very good.
Big deal.
At R43, and we're pumped and excited to share it again.
I thought about crashing it. I found out about it. I knew when it was about to happen. And I thought about going and just doing it and jumping in.
You kind of look like you're 18, so
That's
you
right.
could get away with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Well, you'll be able to see the film, and we have a great footage of the actual. For people who have not been to it and always said that they want to see it, we have amazing footage of the actual role, and it'll be coming soon where people will be able to see it.
Yeah.
Amen, sister.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So it's thebestpodcastever.com.
It is.
Let me say that without stuttering. Thebestpodcastever.com. And then we've got a Facebook page that you should go to and then hit like or subscribe or follow or
However it plays out on Facebook, right?
whatever the button is over there.
Whatever you want to do.
There's so many now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then if you subscribe on the website, then you get a fancy schmancy email that whenever we get a new episode that comes out, you'll get it first.
Yeah, and we're gonna put up Erin's. There's a promo video about what he does, and then there's a GoFundMe page that we will also include in this post.
Yeah.
Erin, this has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed
been
meeting
lovely.
you, and yes,
Thank you guys so much for having me. This
Thank
was
you for
fun.
coming.
This
It was
a
fun.
great evening. Yeah.
We'll see you around the neighborhood, Erin.
Yeah.
And Molly, we'll see you around somewhere.
Somewhere.
And folks,
sometime.
thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Hi, Meg Pawkin.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
What's a day in the life of Meg Pawkin at the Gertzberg Law Firm?
Well, I usually have folks calling me who are concerned about their parents. That's my usual call, is my mom and dad are getting older, and I'm concerned about what I should do to help them plan for the next phase of their life.
Okay. So what should we be talking about? What should I be talking to them about now and over the next couple of years as they continue to age?
I think the conversation to have with them kind of starts out with those, the 5 big inquiry questions, the who, what, when, where, why, how kinds of questions. And first, I think it's really important to talk to them about who. Have a good understanding of who their advisors are. Know who they've talked to as a lawyer, who is their financial planner, who's their physician. And from a legal perspective, get permission to talk to those folks directly.
And let's step back. What are we trying to accomplish here, right? We're helping each other prepare, I guess, for diminished capacity and for losing information and for needing it and not having it, right? I mean, what's the ultimate goal of the planning that we're talking about here?
I think there's a few goals. One is peace of mind, is knowing that things are taken care of, and both sets of folks, parents and children, know that things are taken care of and everybody knows what those things are.
Okay.
The second thing is really to kind of do a status check to make sure that what they have is sufficient. Is their health good? Are they safe living where they are? So I think it's both about peace of mind and about assessment.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so we talked about the who. What is the what? What are we talking about?
The what is, first of all, in a more general conversation, is what are their plans? You talked about your parents being in their 60s, maybe approaching 70. So what is their long-term plan? If they are going to live into their 80s, do they plan to stay in the same house? Do they plan to sell their house and retire? How do they plan to pay for that? Right. So thinking about what their plans are, and then the more specific what is, what do they already have in place? Do they have some estate planning documents already drafted? Maybe they have had wills done. Maybe they've had a living trust done. Maybe they have powers of attorney. And the key question becomes with those, if they have them, are they still the right documents?
Right. Because they might have had them drafted by someone 20 years ago. And
exactly.
Now their assets have changed. Maybe there's more grandchildren. right?
I would say even more important than assets changing are looking at how have they changed. For example, very often married couples appoint each other to be their primary power of attorney. Well, what if one of them is starting to have memory problems? Or what if one of them has some significant health problems?
Right.
It's really critical to have backups. And if those documents are stale, it could be that the backup people they have are either no longer around or no longer suitable.
Make sure that you don't have 20-year-old documents that do not correspond to what your actual wishes are, and do it now while you still have capacity.
Exactly. Right. I think that notion of capacity is really important. And what people need to understand is that a little bit of memory loss doesn't, you still have capacity to create a new will or update your powers of attorney. But once you no longer can really focus on who the natural objects of your affection are, and you don't have an understanding of the nature and scope of your assets, then you have a problem. So when you start to see those subtle signs of beginnings of diminished capacity, that's the when, when you really need to jump on it and address it, and hopefully don't wait too long to do that. I just read a really interesting statistic that people between the ages of 65 and 74, 44% of them have Alzheimer's.
Wow.
It's a huge number.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't realize it was that high.
It is. So it's really important to jump on that, before it's too late.
Yeah.
Another is to check in on insurance coverage, especially for people who are still driving, and make sure that there's adequate auto insurance because, as people get older, they're reluctant to give up driving for really obvious reasons.
Right.
But the reaction time's slow, and they tend to get in more accidents. So making sure that they have adequate coverage, med pay especially,
right.
So that if they are in an accident, they've got the means to take care of the damages.
Yeah. Meg, what do you think about living wills?
I think a living will is a really critical document, but it really goes hand in hand with a healthcare power of attorney. A lot of times people get confused about those two things.
And I'm one of them.
So a healthcare power of attorney is you giving permission to a specific person to act on your behalf when you can't.
Okay.
So they are used a lot. And when they often come up is in really routine situations. They're not necessarily an end-of-life document. So everyone should have one.
Right.
Because, for example, if you're having a routine surgical procedure and you're knocked out and the surgeon sees something and they need permission to go a little further, take a little more, do something a little different, your healthcare power of attorney can take care of that.
Right.
The living will is kind of an accompaniment to healthcare power of attorney. It's an end-of-life document. And it's where you say, here is what I want to have happen. If I'm in a terminal condition, if I'm permanently unconscious, if I'm, not able to be resuscitated, here's what I want to have happen. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you can, for people who have particular religious beliefs, you can spell out things like no blood products.
Right.
Or do every last thing to keep me alive.
Right.
So it can be both limiting and kind of proactive, either way.
That is one that, or both documents, living will, healthcare power of attorney, that the absence of them creates so many headaches for family members. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we've seen it get really contentious. And the last thing that I think any of us really want is for that to happen when we can't control it.
Yes.
Right.
I think another really misunderstood document is a durable power of attorney.
Right.
So a durable power of attorney is also known as a financial power of attorney. And, there are forms that you can get, from websites and fill out and have them notarized. But what people don't realize is, again, you can customize those to do really specific things and to limit things. And what's really helpful in an elder planning situation, especially if you're thinking down the line about qualifying for Medicaid or paying for long-term care, adding powers into that power of attorney that allow for gifting, that allow for specific kinds of transfers can make a huge difference in whether assets can be preserved or whether they have to be spent on care. So seeing someone who specializes in that area really matters because they know the differences and the subtleties and how to really craft that for your particular situation instead of just utilizing a form.
Yeah. So we talked about the who, we talked about the what, and we just started talking about the when. So let's talk a little bit more about the when.
So the when covers not just when do you have capacity and when you don't, but, also asking your parents things like, when do you plan to stop driving? When can we get rid of the car? When do you plan to downsize? Sometimes framing it in that way can make a difficult conversation a little bit easier. And then let's talk about the where. Where do they want to live? Where do they want to be buried? Where would they like a funeral service held? But on top of that, where are their important documents?
Right.
For example, a lot of people make the big mistake of storing their will, their power of attorney in a safe deposit box,
Right.
which is the worst possible place for it to be because only owners can access that box without a court order. So if you've tucked your will into a safe deposit box, and you and your spouse or you are the only owner of that box,
Right.
no one can get into it without a court order.
So we have a fireproof will safe here, and that's where you put our clients' wills, right? Or
I do.
one draft or one copy of them. Right?
I recommend to my clients that we keep the original and they have a draft.
Right.
By us having it in a fireproof safe, first of all, it's accessible.
Right.
And the copies that they have at home have our phone number and our address on it. So when the time comes, someone can pick up the phone, call, and get the original from us, and then they know it's safe.
Right. So what's left? The how.
The how. And the how covers things like, how do you pay for care? So what's their plan if they need long-term care?
Yeah.
I think the estimate right now is that long-term nursing home care generally runs about $6,700 a month.
Wow.
The average person will need it for about 3 years. So that's a significant chunk of money. And if you haven't self-funded, if you don't have that much saved and set aside, how do you plan to pay for that?
Right.
Do you have long-term care insurance? If you're in a situation where you have some assets that you can put in a lump sum, there are certain insurance policies that are available that are convertible policies. Those are really handy. They will pay a death benefit if you don't use it up for long-term care. So there are some things like that. But thinking about that, how will they handle their situation when they can't drive anymore? Do they have pets that have to be cared for? Do they have a home that needs to be sold? So the how is the mechanism to get from fully independent living to, long-term care, that in-between phase.
Okay. And Meg, if folks want to learn more about what you do and who you are, they can go to gertzberglaw.com, and I think there's some information there for them,
Yes, actually, if you go to my personal page on the staff section and you go to Meg Pauken, I have links to articles I've written, and I also have put together a checklist, an elder planning checklist. There's a link to it on the blog post sidebar, and that checklist really takes you through the whole process of what you need to talk to your parents or other elderly family members about, or if you're older, things you need to be considering yourself as you make your plans.
And folks, if you enjoyed this 10-minute legal talk, Meg's last 10-minute legal talk is up there on estate planning, where we talk about why estate planning is not just for the super wealthy and why everyone should think about it. Thanks, Meg Pauken. This was good.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, folks.